Welcome to Moonbase 2.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Moonbase 2 podcast. My name is Andy, Corporate Commander TFW, and I'm joined this week by the man hailing from Camp Crystal Lake, summoned by the dead spirit of his mother. It's Jason Vorkirkies, and he's got a spoon, not a machete. Copyright coming. How's it going, Jason?
I mean, you could do terrible things with a spoon.
It's true. You can't do as much versus a machete. It's good for scooping, but not much else.
Yeah, okay, so I don't know if you've ever read any of the Walking Dead comics, but I read like the first couple trades. There's some pretty nasty stuff you can do with scooping in a spoon.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Did they scoop people like ice cream?
All right, so there's the Michonne character who was kind of mistreated by the other character named the Governor.
I remember
let's
that.
just say,
well, from
yeah,
the
let's
TV
just
show.
say there was a panel where he was bent over and she had a spoon, and you didn't see what happened, but it was implied it was not pleasant.
Yay! Chocolate ice cream for all.
Oh, you had to go there, didn't you?
Of course, poo. It happens.
It does, yes.
That's my new book coming out soon, Poo. It happens.
Funny enough, it's your autobiography. Don't know how, but that's how it works.
I'm just saying, it happens. But yeah, we're here again this week to talk about Transformers. No Mikey, as he's currently in Edinburgh, I think, at the moment. But I think he should be back by next week. So again, Jason's been kind enough to jump on. And unfortunately this week, unlike last week, there's not much to talk about. Since we're just on the tail end of a convention, this is, the situation. This is what happens. You get news and then you get kind of nothing. But we do have a few bits here and there. So I'm going to kick us off with the Shockwave Labs SL-60 upgrade kit for the Cyberverse Ultimate Class Optimus Prime. It's a simple little upgrade kit. You get an axe and his ion blaster cannon gun laser blaster thingamaboo. We don't have information on pricing or release dates, but if you looked at your Ultimate Class Optimus Prime and you're like, I want him to have a big axe and I want him to have a big gun, this is a way. Do you remember, Jason, if this version, the Ultimate Class Optimus Prime, has the big Autobot insignia shield?
I don't know if it's a shield or if it's a blast effect. Something pops out of his chest. I think it's like a blast effect or something, though.
Okay, because that's one of Cyberverse Optimus Prime's, things, it seems, from the show, because I've watched a few episodes now of Season 2, and it's just, he projects a big holographic Autobot insignia as a big shield, which seems weird, since, in my eyes, the Autobot insignia has lots of holes in it. Never mind, right? It's fine. How do you think these have turned out? Do you think these are decent for, what they're going for?
It was actually the Matrix Mega Shot. So yeah, I don't think this one had a shield, but definitely had something popping out of his chest, like spinny something or other.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, from what we've seen actually, because I know you guys cover Shockwave Lab stuff whenever it pops up here, this stuff seems to be of good quality and everything. I like how that the axe attachment, because of the way that the toys are designed, or at least these early Cyberverse toys are designed, how his hand is kind of covered by the front of the truck cab. I like how with the axe, at least, it looks like it's supposed to be that way, because the axe kind of pops out from in front of it.
Yeah.
So that's a nice touch for that. And of course, if you give Optimus Prime his blaster, that's always a plus in my book.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, they look fine for figures that I think, given our discussion last week, we're much more interested in what the Cyberverse toys are going to be moving forward as opposed to before. There was a time where I thought about getting this Optimus and then the Megatron that went along with it for my son for Christmas last year, but that never happened. So I know I still see the Megatron from time to time on store shelves, so I don't know if there was like a second wave of him that came out.
For sale or for full price?
I think for full price. I've never noticed it for sale. Although I kind of ignore it too, so
yeah,
maybe it is for sale. I just don't know.
If it goes for really cheap, it might be good for your kid.
Right.
but it's not going to be the best. I mean, we talked about it last week when we saw those deluxe class figures. Like they look far better than these ones do, and these ones are just big. But the big ones will be good for young kids. So,
Oh yeah.
what was the Megatron's gimmick? Do you remember the Ultimate Megatron? Did he have a big spinning turret or something, or was it something else?
If I remember correctly, with the ultimate class, his cannon, like I think it happened not just in tank mode, but like the front like third of the cannon flips forward.
That's right.
In
Yeah.
in like 4 different pieces to make it bigger and a bigger blast. Basically, Megatron has a blue pill effect where you take your pill and you get a little you're a little more impressive.
That's true. I mean, Megatron's of that age, a few 100,000 years old. Sometimes you need that pick me up.
I mean,
shame.
at that age, who wouldn't? Yeah,
Yeah.
Of course not.
Megatron's also stressed. He's got a war to win. Sometimes he's not in the mood, but he knows he has to get there. Or sometimes he might just want it for fun. As a bit of recreational fun. He just needs to make sure his cannon isn't locked in their place for too long. What is it? Over
That's
3
true.
hours, I think, or something.
4, I believe.
Is it
4
4?
is when you guys
Okay.
worry.
To be fair, I'd be worried after 3. I'd be concerned after 3. 4, I'd be panicking.
Right. Of course. So the question is, who's his biggest bitch? That's the real question we need to answer.
I mean, isn't it always Starscream?
You'd think that
Yeah.
might be why he's so upset at him constantly and wants to take over.
His bottom bitch, as they said on South Park.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Jason, do you want to take us on to our next bit of news, which is a bit more impressive than Megatron's girthy cannon?
Yeah, agreed. And actually, this works out because I saw this story earlier in the week. And I was like, ooh, I hope I get to talk about this one. And lo and behold, it's my story. That's great. So Mech Fans Toys via their Weibo page. Weibo? How do you say it? Weibo.
I usually do what you do and go Weibo, Weibo. Who knows?
One of those words. They shared images of their colored prototype of their new Mech Fan Toys MS-19 Flame Commander, which is their legend scaled Rodimus Prime. And he looks really good. So this is Mech Fan Toys kind of sticks to more or less a G1 aesthetic, more or less. They do it. I would say their aesthetic is a little more updated. And they also, I think they also may have done a few knockoffs of like third party toys from like DX9 and stuff like that too. But
that was back in the day, and now they're trying to be like legit, if I remember.
Oh yeah,
I think that was because weren't Mech Planet the spin-off of somebody else who did just steal stuff effectively?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're all spin-offs of something, it seems like nowadays, but
yeah.
I believe that's how it goes. But let's see. So he stands 12 centimeters tall. He does come with a matrix. And of course he has the alt mode that turns into the Space Winnebago, which is always nice. And he includes the following accessories: 2 guns that can combine into a bigger gun. He apparently has his own little blue pill. He of course has a buzzsaw because movie. And they even have his target master, which is going to be really tiny. That's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't have a price or any release date at the moment, but I can tell you right now, as soon as I saw this pop up, I was like, "Yep, I'm gonna get that." Because the only real version I have of Rodimus Prime right now is the Titans Return one that came out a few years ago.
Okay.
It's not good. I'd say it's borderline terrible. I famously, when I showed it off on RFC, I threw it behind me where it landed on the bed, so it didn't break. But had it landed on the floor, I would have been okay with that too.
It was an interesting idea that they had for that figure. I don't think it worked very well though.
Nah, as someone who owns it, I would agree 100% with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got pictures of him in robot mode, in his hot rod mode, and then with the the Space Winnebago and how it opens up to a trailer, much like Optimus Prime's did. So everything I love about this little guy. So how about you? What are you thinking about our MS-19 Flame Commander?
Now, here's a question for you. Do you like your Rodimus Primes to be, lavenderish coloured, or do you like him to be exactly the same colours as Hot Rod?
That's a good question because
Because
you're
there is
not
that
getting.
difference, and you know,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna complain at anyone that says they like the hot rod colored versions, because let's be fair, the cartoon sometimes didn't fucking care, but
Right.
sometimes they did, and that's the thing that made it all weird. But in my mind, there was always a clear distinction from Rodimus and Hot Rod in terms of the color scheme, even though sometimes there wasn't. And I think in this day and age, they want to just kind of cement the fact that Hot Rod's color scheme is Rodimus's color scheme, right?
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. I mean, as much as a third party company can help
Sure.
solidify that, but that was a good point. I hadn't even really thought of that.
Hmm.
I think given actually, you know what? Let's just face it. This just sets them up for repaints later on down the road. So they can do
And yet,
do it in the.
it's strange though, because the face does look like Rodimus Prime's rather than Hot Rod's, because he's got the more pronounced chin, as much as a
Yep.
12 centimeter figure can have defined lines on it, because that's
Right.
got to be pretty difficult to mold into it. So I think they did a real good job just making the figure itself. They definitely. I think it's nice that they gave him the Hot Rod car mode, which is a separate mode. So you know, if you don't like the Winnebago mode, you can just call him a old hot rod, a whole old crotchety hot rod, or you can have him in
Sure.
Winnebago form. I wonder, didn't a masterpiece or the masterpiece from years ago do a similar thing where in hot rod car mode he could slot into the Winnebago?
Oh
Am
yeah,
I
he
on that?
it definitely slotted in. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It must go through the same kind of idea as that then. The fact that it comes with the Target Master, that's nice. That's really cool. Again, it's more of a hot rod thing, so it is that kind of mashup between the two of them. His trailer opening up base thing is as impressive as it's always been. Take
Yep.
that as you will.
Yep.
I take that as badly. I would have liked it maybe if the inside of the trailer mode had like little slots you could put the gun and the buzzsaw and stuff, just to store it kind of nice and compact in there, rather than have them
Sure.
I assume floating about, or you throw them in the trailer and they just kind of rattle around. No, it's neat. It's very impressive. I did consider like maybe picking it up as well, because I can't recall the last like Rodimus Hot Roddy figure that I thought looked like it was a good job, because I was never super convinced by that. Titan's Return, Power of the Primes. No, it was Power of the Primes. Yeah, Power of the Primes Rodimus thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And before that, probably it wasn't the Masterpiece, was it? Masterpiece. No, it would have been the other Masterpiece, Hot Rod, wouldn't it? That one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one. I have the masterpiece hot rod, so I guess I do have a better version of hot rod. I almost forgot about that. But yeah, I have the masterpiece hot rod, not the Rodimus Prime, which apparently they re-released without broken knees. I hope. We think.
Maybe.
Yeah, or they are. One of the two. And I have MMC's version of Rodimus from More Than Meets the Eye, which of course is the ultimate Rodimus.
Of course, yes. But
Again,
no,
notice I said More Than Meets the Eye and not Lost Light.
Never
Not going to point that out.
I think it's important. I
Yes.
think it's important. No, this is good. This is a solid figure. Do you think he's going to be done into his weird shattered glass version, or do you think they're going to not go down that route, being a third-party company?
Well, I've noticed a lot of the third-party companies, especially the ones that go for Legends class, like to do like clear versions of their toys. Second is what they seem to be doing a lot now. So considering they like going to that, I think it'd be hard pressed to not see shattered glass, especially since you get that sweet goatee with them then too.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't think they need to do too much to do that. Like, they might not even have to remold it. They just kind of paint the chin and then just get someone to like draw a little connecting bit to the top of his mouth. That'd be enough.
I have someone with a Sharpie. They can get it done.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's decent. It's decent. It's not a figure that I would be like, we need a Hot Rod or a Rodimus figure now. But hey, it looks like it's fairly successful at what it was doing. And I think it's time that someone does a good Galvatron figure to go along with him. Though, it would be nicer if there was an official good Galvatron.
Yeah, how about that? Wouldn't that be fantastic? Well, I mean, who knows? Maybe what they'll do Galvatron a masterpiece, but it's going to be Beast Wars 2.
Oh,
Beast Wars
yes,
Galvatron.
yeah, more than likely. Did you ever get a Big Cannon? The Galvatron toy, which was the remold a third-party company remold of the Titans Return Galvatron figure. They kind of upscaled it, gave him the right head, and retooled him to actually look like Galvatron.
Yes, and I did. I do have him. He's right behind me on the shelf, and I think first of all, I think Hasbro easily could have done him as like a leader class, because obviously all it is an upscaled without the, terrible plane mode.
Yes.
Or Viper mode, folded into it. So whatever that was. But no, I think, for I think the $60 I spent on it, I think it's a fantastic toy that looks really good beside Masterpiece Optimus Prime.
Yeah, it almost kind of works with them. I really like Big Cannon as well. It was a great toy, a really cheap price point, and you look at it and went, okay, so Hasbro could have done this, and it would have been exactly what people wanted. Granted, it wouldn't have fit in with the line of the gimmicks, Titans Masters and all that jazz, but people just want a good Galvatron figure at this point. Maybe we'll get it with Earthrise.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, it's fine. I wouldn't call it a Masterpiece style toy. No. I don't think it's up to that level, but if it had been what Hasbro did for the leader class, I think it would have been one of everyone's favorite toy of the year, probably.
That'd be interesting. Actually, I just had a thought there. Because we know Earthrise is part 2 of the War for Cybertron stuff, do you think part 3 might be season 3 Transformers?
I've heard a lot of people holding out hope for that, just so we get something a little more than season 1 and 2 of G1, since we seem to get a lot of that lately.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm wondering is, I also, because my friend Anthony, who runs TFU.info and Transformers University, he's been very much on the top of the fact that John Warden, who of course is Hasbro design team, has been throwing out a lot of Beast Wars hints lately. And when he throws out hints, those toys usually show up.
Oh.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we see section 3, if we see the third part maybe do Beast somehow.
Okay.
But if that's still something that's off in the future, then I would not be surprised if we started seeing some season 3 characters in the third section. I would not at all be surprised by that.
Part 3 being Beast Wars would be a real hard swing. I'm not saying it couldn't happen. It would just be like, that's a hard left to right turn at the roundabout right there. It's like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, and again, the only reason I'm even mentioning that is just because John Warden has been throwing out, like, in the last couple years, when you interview John Warden, Beast Wars always gets mentioned. And when John Warden constantly mentions something, those toys come out eventually. So
yeah. And it makes sense. We're long overdue for Beast Wars to actually have some, toys coming out that aren't the Cheeto and the Dinobot that were terrible.
Oh, yeah. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Shall we move on? Or shall I move us on, I suppose, to the next bit of news?
Yeah, tell us about Habro.
Habro, meant to be Hasbro, of course, because someone misspelled the title of the article and still hasn't changed it, are crossing over with YOLO Park, which is a thing, a Hong Kong-based company, apparently, which I'd never heard of. And I don't really know what they do. Well, I assume they do some kind of toys, because the whole thing that they're talking about here is they're going to be doing an officially licensed Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime action figure. It's going to be 24 inches tall, which is, for those needing those centimeters, 61 centimeters from head to toe, because that's how you usually measure height of figures. I don't know why they had to put that in, but okay. Internal interconnected endoskeleton system, the IIES, or the eyes.
Eyes.
Yeah, that's weird. I wonder why. Okay, sure. I don't know why they need to say give it a special abbreviated name. The eyes definition means that the internal frame design, all the movable gears are independent. However, movement is driven between the connected gear parts like a real machine. Okay, that sounds interesting, I think. Do you have any thoughts on this, Jason, or the sound of the endoskeleton, which isn't referenced from Terminator? Because to me, this just sounds like you'll move the arm and you'll see some pistons and things kind of move, which, other toys have done. I'm pretty sure 3A probably did stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I was thinking 3A for that, and it sounds like a good way to charge an extra $20 or $30 for your for your action figure. Which hey, more power to you. I got no problem with that.
Sure.
Now if it does something really unique where for some reason it moves, I don't know, it moves more like you would expect a machine to actually move. Like obviously, if you take like I'm trying to think like a Hot Toys Iron Man and a 3A Optimus Prime, like the arm, they're different, but the arms are still going to move the same. Like they're going to have, the elbows are going to move the same regardless. But maybe this is a way where it just seems like it moves differently. I don't know. Or it's just marketing. That's all it is. Which is probably more likely. So I don't know how you would really change it to make it any different than what you would see with given a Hot Toys or a 3A or anything like that. But who knows? Maybe we'll be greatly surprised. It looks nice though.
Yeah, maybe it's one of those things where you like move the hip joint and maybe like his robo ass moves as well and does something.
Well, okay, that would be different.
Like real kind of muscles would do as you move your legs and stuff. Like it would affect your torso muscles and abs and your ass and all that kind of stuff. Maybe it's more than just what I've seen from Gundam model kits, which they do where you bend the knee and the knee kind of comes apart and the quad muscle of the Gundam will slide forward a bit at the same time. Or maybe it's just going to be that, and if it's just that, I go, well, Gundam does that.
Well, and like even Flame Toys, like I have their IDW Optimus Prime right in front of me, and when you bend the knee, the wheels in the back of his leg kind of fold in, and then when you straighten the knee, the wheels come back out. That's not something unique that hasn't been done before, but again, I don't know. Maybe if you like move the hand, maybe it falls over. I don't know. I have no idea what this could be.
This might be incredibly die-cast as well, so lots of cold touch tests need to be done.
Oh yes, the patented cold touch test.
The patented, trademarked.
Yes. Or who knows? Maybe it could even be something as simple as you're moving the arm, you actually feel like the gears, not just like ratchets, but like gears clicking like all throughout the arm and stuff. That would actually be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like little clicks, not like horrible, oh no, my toy's exploding kind of clicks. Or it might have the power to like move somebody else. So you move Optimus Prime's arm and like your brothers or your friends or your wife's or your husband's arm moves at the same time. And they start screaming.
Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself.
Voodoo magic, man.
Put the toy down, Jason. No, you must suffer. I don't know who's suffering in this situation. That'll be determined someday later. But
that's whoever wrongs you.
Well, I mean, there's a list.
Exactly.
Gotta go through the list.
You gotta check it twice.
Okay.
It's at that time of year.
We're getting there. I'm sure there's decorations up in some store already.
Oh yeah, more. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've seen Christmas stuff go up already. So, as in not decorations, as in store, like buy our stuff. And I'm sure, right. I'm positive we'll be talking about terrible decorations for Transformers for Christmas time. Yeah, yet again, very soon. But do you want to take us on to our next story, Mr. Jason?
Sure. I'm going to take us across the ocean to a place named Beijing, where they're going to have their Universal Beijing resort. So Universal Studios Beijing, their resort there, is going to feature a new attraction with the based around the Transformers franchise. It will be Transformers Metro Base. So basically what it seems like is that part of the park is you're basically in a Titan, a Metro Titan, if you would. Named Metro Base, because that's the name of the attraction. From what I'm seeing here, it looks like there's going to be a roller coaster that's just a clone of the Incredible Hulk roller coaster that you find at Island Adventure in Orlando, Florida. So, I mean, hey, if it works, just copy it and port it over, I guess.
Sure.
But yeah, we were actually talking about before we started recording the fact that, a lot of Age of Extinction took place in China. Because if I remember correctly, it actually made money in China as opposed to here where it didn't make all that much money.
Yep.
So yeah, hey, if the Chinese like their Transformers, let's take stuff over there and do that. So there's going to be some Nest stuff. So they're going to be, I would imagine they're probably going to lean pretty heavy into the movie aesthetic and things like that. Even though Titans and the idea of like a Metro Base would not have been addressed in that yet, but it seems like it's going to be like a mashup of, what we know from like the cartoon and the movies all together. But I'm sure the aesthetic of what you'll see is very much movie based.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do you have any other thoughts regarding this?
Now, when I read the story, at least the top line, it seems to be suggesting that it's not built yet. Like Universal Beijing isn't a thing at all yet. Is that right? Because it says an up and coming theme park, rather than a land. So, does that mean that they haven't got any Universal at all there yet? Or is it just the Transformers that they haven't got there yet?
I don't know. I mean, it does seem like the actual resort itself is not built yet, but there could be another Universal elsewhere because China's pretty big.
That's true.
But yeah, as far as this one goes, yeah, they're in the process of creating this, not just the Transformers part, but they're planning. It seems to be the whole resort at this point.
I mean, it's not a bad idea. It's nice that Transformers is getting a bit more representation. It's a good idea to take the Hulk thing and just retroactively make it Transformers, since, obviously Disney owns Marvel, and the tenuous deal at Islands of Adventure, if I remember, is they can keep that because it's the comic book Marvel rather than the film Marvel, which they're not allowed to do.
Something like that. Yeah, there's distinctions between the rights between the two.
Yeah. So I would argue that Universal has the better deal, at least from my perspective.
Probably, yes.
Because I like those. It's like, have you been to Islands of Adventure before?
No, I've never really been to any kind of. I think when I was younger, we lived in New Jersey, and there was a Six Flags near us. So I've been to a Six Flags.
Yeah.
But as far as like a Universal Studios or a Disney, or where you basically go to a huge resort for like a week or whatever, never really had the opportunity. Although I would assume, we're gonna at some point here in the next few years, we'd like to take my son to something like that. But for now, have not had the pleasure.
Okay. Yeah, I went to like years and years ago when it was fairly new. And a lot of the artwork that they have there is like the Jim Lee kind of styled X-Men and
Sure.
that kind of artwork. So it's, in my eyes, really pretty and nice.
Yeah.
Though it, by today's standards, it's very dated. And I mean the rides as well, because, it's fucking old. It's been there for ages.
It really is.
Yeah. So, like I say, retroactively just kind of taking that and making it Transformers. Not a bad idea. Makes it easier for them. I know that, I wasn't around going there when the Transformers ride came out for Universal in Florida. But I hear the more impressive than the ride itself are the Megatron and the Optimus Primes who come out and do the dissing. You must have seen those videos, right?
Oh, those videos are. And does Optimus do that, or is it mostly Megatron? I think Megatron's the only one I've ever really seen.
Well, Prime's a lot nicer, so I don't think he like says, "You're shit, ain't you, child? Better
I think
not die," or something.
Yeah, I think my favorite one of those is when Megatron makes his kid start screaming. He's like, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me."
Because I think that would be intimidating for a kid to see, like big giant Megatron saying that he's gonna kill you. That'd be like, oh my god. So
yeah, and for as loud as those voices come over like through the videos and stuff, there must be like some speakers coming out of the thing too, because I bet when you're right beside me, you're like, oh my god, it's loud.
Oh yeah, definitely. Did you watch the video here as well that they used to promote the Beijing Universal? Because the weird thing is they have like Kung Fu Panda in the trailer, and what's the dragon movie with the kid riding the dragon? How to Train Your Dragon? That's the thing, isn't it? And Minions as well. And I was like, oh wow, look at all these DreamWorks movies. And and what? Sorry.
Well, I mean, apparently that's just I'm sure if you got one license for one of those properties, it's a lot easier to get all of them for that.
Probably.
So that makes sense.
See, I wasn't sure if Universal owned those companies as well, or if it was a licensing deal. Either way, they're popular movies, so that's neat. That's good. There was also a bit that had Steven Spielberg, but I didn't get a chance to figure out what that was for. So that's it looks like it'll be an interesting place at the very least. More Transformers. That's always good. Shall I take us on, Jason?
Yeah, let's talk about Astro Train.
Yeah, let's bitch about Astro Train. Siege Astro Train. Specifically, there were images that popped up over the week of Siege Astro Train, who is the leader, standing next to... Oh, God, I'm trying to think of the Voyagers. Oh, he was stood next to Voyager Astro Train from Titan's Return and another Voyager, I think. And he was far like no he was stood next to a deluxe figure as well, and he was way closer to a deluxe size than a Voyager size. He was that kind of in-betweeny scale between Voyager of the past and deluxe of the past. And again, this is a leader toy with a leader price point, and his gimmick is his trailer will open up into a blast platform that has a few extra guns on it.
Yeah. I was shocked that like he's almost like a whole head shorter than freaking Titan's Return. Was it?
Yeah, the
Titan's
Astro Train
Return.
from there. Yeah.
Which as a figure, I don't mind. I have him. He's fine. But obviously this one looks a lot more like what we saw from the cartoon.
Yeah. Oh, he looks a lot better. That's for sure. He looks like what I would say he should look.
And, got to give it to the 2 alt modes, too. They look pretty good, too. But, yeah. And to be fair, I mean, to make it so that he works well in both in all 3 forms, I guess. They had to have the extra parts and the ability to use them. But, yeah, it's just shocking to see. You're obviously, for what you're paying, you're still getting plenty of plastic. So that isn't terrible, but it's what the plastic does. Like, okay, so he has a base for when he's in shuttle mode, and he can be a train with,
and he's got slippers as well, which go onto his feet, which make him like a few centimeters taller, I suppose.
That's true. You can add a little bit of height there, although then his feet just look way too big.
Yeah. It looks like he's wearing little shoes. My idea behind it was, when you get shoes and you get the things, the extra loafers, the extra insoles, just to raise your height inside your shoes just a little bit, so you get a little bit more height. That was my idea of what that was. This equipment.
I've never done that.
I hear people have done that, which I've been quite depressed about.
I'm not at all self-conscious about my height. Nope.
Oh, see, I don't know. Like I'm like 6 foot, so I don't care.
Well, isn't that nice for you, Mr. Tall Person?
I know. I look down at all the peons below me. Hello, down there.
I really do hope you walk around the streets like that. Hello, small person.
Even if they're taller than me.
Right.
I'm just looking at their shoes. It's fine, though.
Like, excuse me, my eyes are up here. No, yes, but your shoes are down there.
I know where I'm looking.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing here.
I've chosen where my eyes go. I did hear some people defend this toy, at least the height. Wise by it saying, people have been complaining for years about what was scale accuracy, and now people are complaining because it's too small. And I was like, I don't think, if I grew out of them needing to be in scale a long time ago. And I think, and I'm past that point, especially when it comes to money.
Yep.
If I'm paying, like I said, I think last week or something, if I'm paying leader price point, I want a lot of plastic because I want it to be a big toy. Because I'm spending more money. I want it to do an extra £20 or $20 more than the deluxe. Than the Voyager does, which is a shame because it looks good. I wonder if, because people have complained, or some people at least have complained about the height, if it will get knocked off and upscaled. I wouldn't be shocked.
Oh, God, of course not. And, the scale argument is kind of moot for a figure like this where, his transformation is just nothing but mass shifting anyways. Like, that's always going to be a part of it. So it's kind of ridiculous to worry too much about scale because I mean, maybe someday we'll have that technology with toys. It'll be, 100 years from now, and it won't be anything we can afford. But, hey, maybe someday we can make our toys just magically bigger.
Yeah, that won't be scary at all. See, I'm waiting for the point where we don't buy toys, we buy holographic toys.
Oh, yeah.
So you transform them that way. So you don't actually touch them, you just kind of, it's more like you've bought a DLC character in a video game.
No,
That's my horror. That's like, oh, you're not buying any toys anymore. They're all like holographic DLC characters now. Enjoy.
yeah, and then when the company you bought them through goes under, you no longer have access to the toys you've purchased.
That's right.
You have to download your toy version off the cloud, where the transformation you have to do in MS Paint. Yeah, that's what we're gonna say. You have to do it in Microsoft Paint.
MS Paint 3000 or 2059, something like that. Still a terrible program.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to say on Astro Train, Mr. Jason? Because again, it's just complaining about its height. That's what I'm gonna do. That's how I'm gonna feel. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I like the look of him. I like his 2 modes, but he's also got battle damage, so fuck the toy. Yeah, no.
Do you think the battle damage is terrible, though? And by terrible, I mean, like, where the point you can't get rid of it. Because you got the other... you mentioned last week that you got Optimus Prime and you got Megatron, and they weren't too bad to get rid of the grot on them, but Soundwave is not going to happen because of the battle damage.
Right. Well, with him, it's mostly lower legs, which I don't think would be too difficult, because it looks like it's not painted plastic. Of course, then in shuttle mode, it's the top, which makes no sense. If anything, the front of the shuttle would be what has the damage, but whatever. So, yeah, it could probably be removed, but I'm also kind of past the point where I care about removing it from the toys either. So, it's not...
and your son's not at the age where you can just give it to him to do for you, unfortunately.
I mean, I can always... He's my kid. I can employ child labor whenever I want.
I don't
That's
think,
all
like,
right.
giving a 4-year-old, like, rubbing alcohol will end well for anybody.
They have to learn someday, Andy. If not now, when?
I fear for your house just erupting into fire. That's my fear. How it will happen, I don't know, but the chances of child and disaster escalate dramatically.
To be
At
fair,
least that's my idea.
The chances of child in disaster escalate the moment the child pops out of the womb. So it's par for the course.
That's true. That's very true. Shall we move on, Mr. Jason, to the next bit of news?
Yes, let's do that. And this will begin this is our convention news section here, isn't it?
Yeah, we're right at the end already.
Yeah, how about that? Good thing I watched a lot of stuff last week. So for TFcon DC, which will take place October 25th through 27th, which sadly I was going to, but now I am no longer attending.
Is that because like some of the transmission people are going in, you're like, ugh, no. Blech.
Yeah, I don't want to be anywhere near those guys.
Oh.
No. So yes, that'll be taking place in Reston, which if you're on the fence about going, it's the same hotel that happened in 2017, which I did attend. That hotel is wonderful. If you can make it, go to the show. I absolutely recommend it. But they've announced that Vince DiCola, the composer for Transformers the movie, will now be coming. And trying to see if we have any concerts or anything. I don't see any concerts or anything this time around. But hey, I'm a big fan of the soundtrack for the original movie. So
oh yeah, and Rocky 3, surely.
Oh yeah, yep. I'm actually kind of sad I'm not going now because I'd love to actually get to. Well, let's face it, I'm not going to like go meet him or anything, but it would be nice to hear him talk about the movie and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm a big fan of the soundtrack for the movie, of the score for the movie. So, I'm bummed, but I think that's a really good guest to get. And I'm sure, we're still a couple weeks away, so I'm sure we'll see some more announcements. But yeah, pretty cool news that Vince DiCola will be joining everyone in Reston for TFcon DC on October 25th through the 27th. Any thoughts there, Andy?
No, not really. But I did want to ask you, so you've been to the DC one. Have you been to the Canuckian one?
Nope, I have not been to Toronto. If I can get in a passport here at some point, I might try to do that since I can't go to Canada without one.
Is that true?
That is true. I'm sure they would be very apologetic about it, but they won't let me in without one.
See, I was going to ask you what the differences between the two were, since, they are run by the same people, but I wondered how the feel, the vibe was, because it'd be an obvious difference than being in two different places.
My understanding is that when you go to the Toronto one, everything's smeared in poutine. I think that's the only difference.
Oh, okay. Yeah, to get the festive Canadian feeling through.
Yeah, that was the worst joke I could have made, and I made it. So
okay, no,
there.
That's fine.
There's your difference there.
There's no one here between me or you who are Canadian to be offended by that, so that's fine.
That's true.
I can't guarantee listeners or anything like that, so yeah, you know what Jason is.
No, they don't. I'm in a bunker.
That's not my
report
problem.
from a bunker.
But you would recommend going to the DC one if you could, since you've been there before.
Yep, yeah. Like I said, it's a nice hotel in the area. There's all kinds of different places you can go for food. I think there's even a Ben and Jerry's ice cream. So there's some good ice cream there. Yeah, all kinds of good stuff to do. Good restaurants. So definitely check it out if you're able to or on the fence. It's at least worth going for a day to check it out, I think.
Yeah, well, why not? Around the DC area.
Yeah. So any other announcements of anyone going to any conventions anytime soon?
Just the fact that we have an announcement from TF Nation for 2020. We got Tanya Gunadi, I think is how you pronounce the name, but I'm sure I'm getting that wrong. The voice actress for Miko from Transformers Prime. Because if you remember, I'm saying this to the audience as well, the theme of this year's convention was Transformers Prime. So at least the first guest announced is Transformers Prime related. That's definitely a plus. Will the theme continue or will the theme end here? I don't know. But how the themes in quotations have gone from previous years, that might be where it ends. I don't know. It'd be nice if we do get some other voice actors, actresses, creative people from Transformers Prime there, because Transformers Prime still probably my favorite Transformers show. Still the one I've enjoyed the most, and I think is probably the best written out of them, to be honest. So yeah, this is good. Miko, good stuff. Are you coming to TF Nation, Jason?
That would be nice, but no, if I can't make it to DC, I sure as hell can't make it to TF Nation.
It's next year. It's
That's
2020.
True. There's time. Although, like I said, still need to get a passport, so that would have to happen first.
That's true. That's true. But it could happen. It'd be something to think about, maybe.
Absolutely.
That is all of our news for this week, because there's, well, as I said before, very little, and we've kind of rocketed through, because, well, that's how we do sometimes. Sometimes there's just not a lot of depth to the stories that you can really dig into. But I think we've done fine. So, Jason, what have you been up to this week? What have you done for fun?
All right. Well, actually, I've been fairly busy this week, and as a matter of fact, there was a couple things happened the week before that I didn't have time to mention because we were a little, we'd gone long. There was some stuff.
That's true.
As a matter of fact, this is your reminder that there was something you wanted to talk about last week that you forgot about. So
that's right. Yeah.
Don't forget that again. So let's go through some stuff. So I think the furthest thing back is our most recent trip to the cinema, if you will.
Oh.
We went, speaking of DreamWorks, which we talked about plenty of DreamWorks stuff earlier in the Universal Studios Beijing resort story. I went and saw their most recent film, Abominable. Well, we took our son to go see it because there's no way I was going to go see it by myself.
See, I was going to ask, did you take your son? Or
Yes.
did he take you? It's like, no, son, we've got to go and see Abominable. And he's like, come on, Dad.
To be fair, yeah, he more took us. This is true. So yeah, it's a DreamWorks story. It was pretty clear that they were just trying to, you had mentioned this earlier too, How to Train Your Dragon, because the abominable snowman, the Yeti in the movie, looks a lot like Toothless.
Oh.
You shouldn't make a Yeti look like Toothless, but they did because that's what made that movie good, Andy. Toothless. Not the fact that it had a pretty good story with character development and good voice acting. Nope. It was
Toothless.
the dragon, Andy.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Oh dear.
So yeah, they don't spend a lot of the story's super weak. The characters are fine. I will say the main character is voiced by Chloe Bennett, who was Skye from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She actually does a really good job. Yeah, she
neat.
does a good job. I was impressed with her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in the movie you find out that the Yeti actually has special powers.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I won't tell you. Here, I'll let you guess. I'll let you guess what the powers are, Andy.
Okay.
What do you think the Yeti's powers are in the movie Abominable?
Is it like Midas's touch, where he can turn people into gold when he touches them?
No, but close. The powers are what The powers are whatever the movie need them to be, Andy.
Oh no!
Yes.
Oh no! They're the worst
They-
kind of magic powers that just work all the time.
They really are. At one point,
Oh.
so the main character, the girl plays violin, and she's really good at it. And at one point, her violin breaks.
Hmm.
The Yeti is able to fix the violin using Yeti hair.
What?
Yeah, it's a broken violin, and he puts it back together with Yeti hair. I don't know.
Is it
That's not a
just
thing.
the string that's broken, or is it the entire thing that's broken?
No, it's the neck is separated from the body.
All right. Okay.
It's definitely a broken violin. Now
Okay.
there is Yeti hair prominently. It's strung with it, yes, but
Sure.
somehow that keeps the whole thing together. It's
Huh.
amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, and it seems like he can kind of bring plants back to life, and maybe make them bigger. But then towards the end of the film, like he basically becomes Todoroki's ice powers from My Hero Academia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he gets pretty powerful there at the end. So I mean, my son enjoyed it because it was a cute movie with an adorable Yeti that looked like a black dragon. So, but yeah, it's boy, I'm not someone who's down. I like DreamWorks movies. I actually enjoy the Minions movies. I mean, they're not great, but I think they're fun to watch. And Kung Fu Panda, I enjoyed that movie. The first one, I don't think I've seen. I think the sequel was okay too, but I don't know about the third one.
I think the third one's meant to be the really bad one. I think 2 was meant to be the best of them, if I remember what I heard people say.
2 might have actually been the best one. I've seen it, I just barely remember it, which might say something, I don't know. And How to Train Your Dragon, I actually really, really enjoyed that movie. I thought that was really well done.
But what about Ice Age?
Oh God, I'd forgotten about Ice Age.
What about Madagascar?
Okay, I can watch Madagascar because my son was on a Madagascar kick for like 6 months when he was maybe 3.5.
Yeah.
So it's watchable, but no. The DreamWorks has had some good stuff, and then they have some not so good.
Who did Nut Job? Was that DreamWorks?
No, I think Nut Job was like an animation studio you don't really hear about too much. Let's see here.
Because I've heard of Nut Job, but luckily, I've never seen it. You're searching on the internet for something called Nut Job, and then a squirrel movie pops up, and you're like, well, this wasn't what I was intending to find today.
Well, now we know that Andy searches nut jobs constantly. Yeah, no, it's produced by Gulfstream Pictures.
Oh, I've never heard of them. Okay, so they must be a knockoff DreamWorks then, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So, hey, DreamWorks does have some standards, I guess you could say.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I know that they're known as the lesser Disney, and I think for a good reason. They're not as good as Pixar.
Yeah,
but they do have some good movies come out now and again, which is weird. Sure.
Yeah, and actually, some of the movies I mentioned I like more than some Pixar films. So
Ooh.
I'm by no means a DreamWorks hater, but yeah, this movie was it takes place in China. So, we can our theme continues throughout the
week. So you wouldn't recommend to go and see Yeti? Yeti? Was it Yeti?
Abominable.
Why wouldn't you have brought that out around Christmas time, for when it was snowy? Actually, do you think it would be a fuck you, it's January movie?
I mean, actually it probably would have made more money then, because the only thing that's going to be out, because Star Wars comes out at the end of this year, there's nothing else that's going to be out to watch if you're a kid in January. Well, a young kid. Obviously, kids want to go see Star Wars. I would assume. Who knows? They make it not a terrible movie. I mean, if you have a kid and you want to take your kid to a movie and they'll like it, and you probably won't hate yourself for seeing it. That's my stunning review. Let's see. Okay, so I have officially finished season 2 of DuckTales.
Yay!
Yes. So yeah, it was a lot of. I watched the last episode was an extra long, basically 2 episodes together. So, I didn't have time to finish it before last week, but I did this week, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think season 2 was really good, probably better than season 1. Although let's face it, season 1 is pretty freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of when when we finally see Donald again after all this time, and he's got the Mickey Mouse made out of the melons, and he does a perfect Mickey Mouse, which of course is hilarious for Donald because he can't understand the goddamn word he says, but he can do Mickey Mouse perfectly. That was great.
I posed this question, and I don't know if we talked about this last week. Do you think Mickey Mouse is a real thing? Like, in the world of DuckTales, does Mickey Mouse exist, which is why Donald made the thing that looked like Mickey Mouse sound like Mickey Mouse? Or is Mickey Mouse just a fabrication in Donald's mind completely, and he does, like, the character, the person Mickey Mouse is not a thing at all in this world?
Well, to be fair, the second version would be much funnier because then Donald's an insane person.
Yes.
Plus, it's obviously a take on Castaway, which had Wilson, which Wilson was not a real person. Although I think we already know that we're seeing Mickey and Goofy and all them in season 3. So
do we? I don't know about. I don't remember seeing them on the poster.
I think Goofy's on the poster.
Was he? Okay. I don't think Mickey was though.
Because I know Bill Farmer's like confirmed for season 3. So
okay.
You might be right about Mickey though. There might not be a Mickey.
See, the thing I remember more clearly than anything with the Rescue Rangers were on there, and I was like, I don't need to know anything else. That's it. I'm
right.
good. Oh, and Baloo and I think the stupid kid from Tailspin were on there as well. On their weird surfboards, sky surfboards, which was probably stolen, or Batman and Robin stole the sequence. When they're in the shuttle and they blow up Mr. Freeze's shuttle and then they slide down on surfboards. I think someone took that sequence. Either Tailspin got it from Batman and Robin, or Batman and Robin got it from Tailspin. I don't know who got who first.
That's a good question. I distinctly remember that one of them reminded me of the other, though. So
yeah.
That is a for sure thing. I'm looking at the poster. You definitely see Goofy, not Mickey. So maybe Mickey doesn't exist. Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe it's like the South Park Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. I'm gonna kill you.
It could happen. It could happen. He could be the antagonist of season 4. Who knows?
Oh yeah. You're gonna get on stage. I'm gonna fucking break your legs. Yeah, that's an amazing episode. Oh yeah, and we're getting Goslin from Darkwing Duck coming in too. So
yeah, that's I almost kind of want them to do a spin-off of Darkwing Duck, because as long as it's the same writing team, it could be really good.
Yeah, but they need to establish him as less of a loser first.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Darkwing Duck was always a bit of a loser, even in his own show.
Yeah, but this one's like particularly inept so far. Like, considering we know that Negaduck is a thing that exists, and Steelbeak, freaking Steelbeak at the end of the episode, I was like, oh my god.
Did you recognize all of the characters from that?
I did. I don't remember a lot of them right now, but I was like, oh wow, there's some deep cuts here.
Yeah. Did you recognize the manager of the kids restaurant? When he pulled off his walrus head.
I don't remember.
And he just looked like a black shadow.
Huh. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, he's a super deep cut. He's like an old school Disney comic villain, and he was in one episode of DuckTales years and years ago. I think I only know this because I saw like who are foul, and it was like it listed everyone, and that guy was in one episode of DuckTales who was a reference to old school comics, and it was the episode where he was trying to steal a military plane from Donald's Navy ship. And I can't remember who he was called off the top of my head because it's been a while since I watched that video.
Yeah, hey, I was just impressed. I remembered that Steelbeak was a name.
See, I recognized him, but I didn't know his name until I watched the video. I was like, I know that guy. Yeah, neat.
Right.
Neat.
Yeah, so I like what they're setting up for season 3. And yeah, it was just, it's fun. There's not much more I know we've done a lot of DuckTales, or you guys at least have done a lot of DuckTales talk on the show, so hopefully there's no one out here saying to themselves, no more DuckTales talk, because DuckTales is really good, so you should enjoy it. But if it's not your thing, that's fine, but you might not have a heart. You might want to check and make sure that you actually are a living, breathing person.
Even I like it, and I'm dead inside.
Oh, he's beyond dead inside. I'm pretty sure your innards were like scooped out with a spoon. Hey, call back.
Yay.
Oh yeah, but the original point. I think in order to do a Darkwing show, I do think we do need to do a little more to set up where he could actually conceivably maybe take on someone like Negaduck or someone like that.
Okay.
Because as of right now, I don't see that working out too well. And I'm sure that the fact that Goslin's going to be on might be them testing the waters for that a little bit, which would be A-okay. Yeah, so God, and I wonder how far away we are from season 3. I don't remember if they said when that would be coming out or not.
I don't remember either. I hope not too far, but it's going to be longer than I want it to be, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be longer than the period between the first half of season 2 and the second half. So unfortunately, but we'll get there. Let's see what else. Oh, okay. So on Saturday, a couple days ago, Jobby came out with his Soul of Jigoken Voltron video.
Yeah.
Again, Jobby the Hun. He's a subject that comes up a lot on this show.
It's true.
It's a really freaking good review.
Once again, it shows, at least to me, that the Soul of Jigoken figures are incredibly good.
Yeah.
They are now. They used to be a bit like a few years ago, but they're really good now, at least.
Yeah, and especially something like classic Voltron like that, where watching it like I did as a kid and stuff. Unfortunately, $400 is a little high.
Now $450 though, to be fair.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and I also like how and of course he got some subtle digs at Optimus Prime 3.0 in the video too. So it was obviously a very good video. Because Black Lives Matter.
It's true.
So them in the Flame toys, like not the model kits, but the actual, action figures, I would love to get my hands on one of them. I'm not even sure if I'd be picky. Like if someone was just like, hey, you can have Star Saber, I'll be like, okay, that's fine, because he looks, it's obviously Star Saber from the IDW comics, but it still looks like a badass figure. I'd be happy with that.
Do you have a beef with IDW Star Saber?
Well, doesn't everybody? He's very mean, very mean.
Also, no, you're right. He is very mean. That's true. I won't fight you on that.
Actually, I do have a beef because he was built up as this major villain. He cuts a combiner in half in like 2 seconds, and then Cyclonus just tricks him into flying into his sword.
Yeah. Well, that's Lost Light, which didn't happen.
Oh yes, that's right. I forgot that thing doesn't happen. Okay, we're all better then. Yay, Star Saber! He's a great villain. I hope we see him again someday.
One
his
day.
Great villainness. All right. So, and then speaking of other YouTube stuff, I also mainline a whole bunch of Red Letter Media recently because I realized I had missed a couple, like their reviews. There were a number of reviews I hadn't seen, which I'm shocked about.
Really? Which ones?
Well, their Exorcist 3 one came out this week, which I was shocked. But apparently, Mike is a huge fan of Exorcist 3.
Yeah. I've never seen it, so I've got a copy of it now because it sounded really interesting, and I was like, oh damn, this sounds really good.
Well, compared to the second one, which apparently is hot garbage, apparently is much better. But also, actually, I watched their best. I have actually seen a best of the worst now.
Oh, have you never seen one of those before?
I had never really. I had started watching and was like, okay, it's just they watch 3 movies and talk about it. I don't really have time because they're usually about an hour long or so, I think.
About like 40 minutes, maybe more, something like that.
But I watched the one that they actually did for Halloween I think like 3 or 4 years ago, where they actually watched Exorcist 2, The Heretic. So like, might as well just do the trifecta at this point. So that's actually really, if you've never seen Best of the Worst, I think that's a good one to start with because they talk about 3. The first movie is like an anthology movie that's terrible. The second movie is a 80s slashers fic called Chopping Mall. That's right, not Shopping Mall, Chopping Mall. That has an absolutely amazing head explosion scene in it, like top 5 of all time, they were saying. So that's probably a good episode to watch if you're up for it. But I was also I actually had never watched their review of Ghostbusters or Independence Day.
Which Ghostbusters? The original Ghostbusters?
The original, yeah. The 84,
oh, sorry.
84.
Sorry. When you're saying review, you mean the review show that they do, or the review show that they do?
Yeah, you're right. I should have been a little more clear there, since they did do a half in the bag on the 2016, and their Science Man Explains Ghostbusters 2016.
They haven't done a Science Man Explains for a long time now. I'm guessing they just don't want to do that.
3 or 4 years.
Yeah, maybe it's just a thing that they just can't be bothered to do now. just do half in the bag instead.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I went back and watched a lot of other stuff, and I'm just big fans of theirs. I like their opinions on stuff. I like how they approach things like that, and I was happy to finally get caught up. Yeah, so I saved the I'm gonna say I was gonna say the best for last, but I'm not. I'm almost there. I did watch the first 3 episodes of season 2 of Cyberverse
Oh,
over
okay.
the weekend. I still don't like it.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not gonna watch Cyberverse.
That's fair. Well,
to be
what do you think was putting you off about the first 3 episodes then of
Well,
season 2?
I mean, the first 2 episodes were actually fine, and
Mhm.
actually, the scene where Megatron kills Starscream is oh, I'm gonna stop saying actually so much. It's really well done.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't even say anything. He just like decimates him over the course of like 2 or 3 minutes. And I like how at the end his fusion cannon isn't good enough, Andy. He has to transform into tank mode just so he can really kill Starscream.
Yeah, kind of the Galvatron scene in the movie kind of idea.
Yeah, right. So it's really well done. And then, and part of this might be, it was weird because there was no ad between episode 2 and 3.
No.
Which is weird because usually on YouTube there's an ad between every video, but there wasn't. So we go from this scene of Starscream getting, for a kid's show, pretty much brutally murdered, to Wheeljack introducing his 3 new inventions that he doesn't even know works. I'm like, this is a shift in tone I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
So I think tonally having your comedy episode right after that doesn't work too well.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you have an episode in between, it might be a little better. And granted, I'm being very harsh on a show for kids, but it just tonally, it was just weird going from that to that. I think if you have like an episode with maybe not, you go from super serious to not so serious to then have your funny episode, because it is a funny episode. Like the stuff with, because you've seen the first 3, you said, right?
Oh yeah, I watched a few more this week as well.
Okay. Because like the stuff with Windblade having to be stuck to Grimlock is actually pretty funny. You know, it's really well done. The comedic timing is there, but it's just hard to go from what you just saw to that. And let's face it, if I'm going to make a comparison to something, I'll compare it to Kill la Kill, which has, you know, you get a lot of step in those first 2 episodes, a lot of heavy stuff. The 3rd episode, I think, is the one where you have the fight with the tennis club, which is funny.
Yes.
And then episode 4 is No Tardy's Day, which is absolutely fucking hilarious. And there's space. There's that episode of space in between that where you've got the setup in the first couple episodes. You got the dark stuff of the fact that Ryoku's father is dead, and you know her finding Senkets and stuff like that. Then you have the fight with the tennis club, which is absurd but also a little less serious. And then you have No Tardy's Day, which is just funny madness, craziness. I think that having that 3rd episode in there helps a lot. So I think that would have done well for Cyberverse. Maybe I'll watch more once more episodes build up, because I think I only 6 of them are available to me and on YouTube right now. So
yeah, same for me as well. Apparently, if you're in America, I think you've got all of the episodes that are currently out up, something like that.
Maybe, yeah. And yeah, I know that some people are saying the voice. I don't think the voiceover is still all that much better. And wow, they so go out of their way to make sure that whoever does Optimus's voice just sounds like Peter Cullen. Like you can hear they compress and do effects. As someone who's, you know, edited podcasts for 5 years, I can hear that kind of stuff, and he just sounds so much different than everyone else because of all the stuff they do to his voice.
And it's not even that. It's not even like good emotional Peter Cullen. It's dead emotional Peter Cullen, where they're like, Peter, no emoting, none of that.
Yep,
stop it.
Exactly. Yeah, and in episode 3 also just seemed like it was a bunch of like cutscenes, so like video game cutscenes too. So, but I did in fact save the best for last, and this is going to make Mikey super happy when he hears this.
Are you being sarcastic?
No.
Oh, okay.
I watched the first episode of Genlock last night.
Oh.
Genlock is really freaking good.
Mm-hmm.
At least an episode in. But I also know that Mikey said it was really great, so I'm going to say it continues that. But yeah, they really start you out with, you don't have a clue what's going on, and it doesn't matter. There's something, you know, there's a surprising death at the beginning, and then you're not quite sure where that leaves you. And then at the end, you get a nice, fun reveal. And, you know, this is a case where Oh, and also you hear David Tennant is in it, which is very weird to hear him much more subdued as opposed to him as Scrooge McDuck, which is him not subdued.
Not Scottish, yeah. Not super Scottish, at least.
Right, exactly. Yeah, much more like if Doctor Who were doing a voiceover as opposed to Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was very weird to hear a much more toned down David Tennant. But he sounds good too. There's the voice cast is really good. You got like Michael B. Anthony in there and stuff. But yeah, I was really impressed with Genlock. The first episode, I'm looking for. There's only 8 episodes, so it shouldn't take me long to get through. So maybe by in the next week or two, I'll be able to give Mikey a full report when I talk to him again. But yeah, if you're, I haven't really watched any anime since Shield Hero ended. I know you're still watching. Are you still catching up on Demon Slayer?
No, I'm all done with that now. That's all
Okay.
finished.
Okay. So there hasn't been a whole lot of anime for any of us. I don't even think Mikey had a lot of time for it before he left either. So
I've still got anime each week. It's there's always something for Andy.
always something for Andy.
That's right.
Well, in that case, I've talked long enough. Tell us, Andy, what was there for you this week?
Let's see, because I was thinking about things while you were talking. I will say for episode 3 as well, that of Cyberverse, that to me it felt like that was the B plot of an actual episode rather than the focus of an episode. Because did you notice what the episode title was?
I don't remember, but it certainly doesn't fit what you see. Oh, the Visitor.
It's the visitor. How much time does the Visitor spend in that episode?
30 seconds.
Yeah. Okay, so I thought it was weird that you named the episode the cliffhanger of the episode effectively.
Yeah,
it was a weird idea.
Good point.
So I watched a few more episodes, and one of the episodes I thought was quite good, but again, very quickly rushed. I can't remember what episode it was called, but it was like a peace talks between the Autobots and Decepticons around a table, and then an accident kind of happens, and then the ceasefire ends, and Megatron's like, "We'll never trust you again." Rah! It's. I'm gonna go with, at the moment, from what I've seen of Cyberverse, it's fine. I like it more than RID, but I really disliked RID a lot.
I guess so.
It's okay, but I really wish it would do a lot more than it's currently doing. I think it's been hampered by a lot of other things, unfortunately, and I think that it feels like people who care are making it.
Yeah.
Rather than, I don't want to say the people that did RID didn't care, but man, that was not a good Transformers show. I remember disliking that a lot while it was on TV. I was like, wow, This is some garbage. So in terms of what I've been up to this week, let's have a look at my list of things. I went to one of those trampoline kind of places, where the floor's all trampoline and they've got walls that are trampolines and all that kind of stuff, and big like holes in the ground full of styrofoam squares.
Sure.
I went to one of those with my mates. That was quite a lot of fun. You could only be there an hour. You were there for allotted time slots. So we were there for an hour. I was super tired by the end of it. Bouncing around everywhere tires you out. It's been a long time since I've been on a trampoline. Like, it was probably when I was 10, so like 22 years ago since I was on a trampoline, which is horrifying to think about. So I did have that fear in me. Not just bouncing up and down, but like both of the mates I went with had done like amateur professional wrestling as well, not like on WWE scale or anything like that, but they've done local shows and whatnot, so they know how to take bumps, and they've jumped off the rope and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So they were doing backflips and stuff, and my friend was just on a normal kind of trampoline, and he was going like standing, then sitting, then onto his front, then onto his back, then onto his front, that kind of spinning round and round kind of thing, like a cat.
Yep.
So I was just like, yeah, I can sit down, but then I just kind of bounce and just kind of bounce off to the side of the trampoline and go, eh. I had that fear in me because there was this big kind of climbable structure that you got to the top of, and there was a crash mat, which big inflatable thing you jumped onto. They went to the top, jumped straight off, and I was like, I got up there and went, I'm 32. If I do this and I don't do this right, I'm gonna get hurt, and I'm not 10. I'm not going to heal as quickly. So I went down
No.
to not to the low level, which is just going off a trampoline. I went off to the middle level and kind of did it right, but kind of didn't at the same time. So I was like, I think I chose right. But I had that fear of God in me, because you can't just kind of jump out and jump down feet first onto them. You got to like go on your back. And I wasn't confident like throwing my legs out backwards or in front of me to go on my back. So I was like, okay, got to be careful here. But then the styrofoam pits, there was a big beam that you could go onto and hold these big, not styrofoam, but like inflatable pugil sticks, kind of like from Gladiators. And I was the king at that. No one could knock me off, even though my friend Matt
Ooh.
kept whacking me in the face over and over again. I
Is
would
it
not fall.
is it by any chance because maybe this was just your version of Ghost where you actually died jumping off of that? And then you were just invincible. No one could hit you because you weren't actually there.
That could have been a thing. I won't deny that could have been a thing, but I am and considerably like both Matt and Manny, who are the guys I went with, are quite beastie since the wrestlers they go to the gym a lot. But I had the height advantage, so I think that definitely helped me.
You had the high ground.
I had the high ground, and that I think that's what helped win it. And every now and again, when he went for my face, I kind of stepped back and just kind of nudged him and let him go with the flow that he was going. I was like, no. So that was a lot of fun. Really tiring, but that was a lot of fun that day. Went to see Joker, so I've seen that movie. There is a big hype train at the moment for Joker. You may be aware of it.
Yes.
And I think that does damage the film in all honesty, because yeah, at least if you're someone who gets affected by the hype train and stuff like that, there's so much hype going around about the Joker. I was lucky enough to see it before it really kind of kicked off. If you're seeing it after the fact, like seeing it around nowish, it might affect you if you're one of those people, and you might
Sure.
not come away as entertained as you would be if you just went into it fairly blind. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good film. It's not perfect, but I think it's. I got a lot out of it, and Phoenix's performance is really good. I mean, and everyone's right about that. There's some criticisms that people don't think that this Joker could be a good matchup against Batman, and I think that's fair. But then again, you could also say that this is a very young Joker in terms of becoming a villain, so he always has time to develop his kind of maniacal, I know how to scheme and plot and all that kind of jazz. I really liked it. I liked how shitty the city was as well. Like, there was just garbage piled up everywhere. So it gave this really nasty look to it. Kind of what like New York looked like, I guess, around the 70s, which was the time period. I mean, it's meant to be Gotham, obviously, but the time period is that kind of 70s era. And I think New York was pretty scummy at that time, wasn't it?
A lot of the reviews I've heard, I've heard a lot of reviews where people are very, I think the most common thing I hear is, I really enjoyed it. I will probably never watch it again. But I've heard a few where people actually were growing up in New York around that time, and they said it was like, it took them right back. Like, it literally is exactly what it was like back then. People are very impressed with that.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me, because it is a very grounded movie in a lot of ways. It does feel very real, and I don't want to use when people talk about it and they say it's a dark film, I don't want to use the term dark, because I feel it's really overplayed. You know, oh, it's a really dark, gritty film. It is, but I don't want to use that terminology, because it's I really do think it's overblown, or it's overused in this day and age. But it does have that unpleasant feel to it. Like, nothing's nice, everything's oppressive and unclean and grotty, if you want to go for the British word. I definitely think it's worth seeing in the cinema, so you're fully paying attention to it, you're fully absorbed in it. I don't want to say too much about it, just because people may not have seen it. Like yourself, you haven't seen it as of yet, I don't think, have you?
No, I haven't, and I've actually, the more I heard, I kind of gave up on worrying about spoilers.
Okay.
I know there's really nothing too crazy, and the stuff that does happen is stuff that you, for the most part, you can figure out along the way. So it's not like it's an amazing twist that you never saw coming. But I don't think that would. I was trying to see if there was any time over this last weekend to go see it. There wasn't, so I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I have heard the theater is a good place to see it, so I probably would like to see it before. And the fact I think it made only 40% less here in the U.S., which from the first week to the second week is almost unheard of for movies.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, it's really good. So I think it's going to be in the theaters for a while. So I might have a chance to see it, but I'm trying not to let the hype set me up too much, because I have my thoughts of movies have definitely been affected by how much hype I've heard about it, which actually is interesting, because the one thing that worried me, I heard one review, and the person who was doing it is someone who I tend to agree with movies a bit, and he said that he found this movie repulsive, like he found the Hangover movies repulsive, which isn't good, because I hate the Hangover movies. I don't think they're funny at all.
Did they mention in what way he found it repulsive?
No, that's the only thing that I'm not 100% sure on, because it wasn't a full review. It was just his take at the end of their podcast they were doing.
Okay.
But the Hangover movies for me, I think, suffered the most from the fact that they were so hyped up for me, and I watched the first one. I didn't laugh once. I was like, this isn't funny.
Yeah, no, I was never a big fan of the Hangover films.
Oh, okay. Well, then and I was worried because it's the same director, but if you weren't a fan and you still like it, then that gives me a little more hope. So, I expect to go into it and enjoy it, because I'm a fan of movies like Goodfellas and Scorsese, stuff like that. And that seems to be a love letter to this, if not, a straight up, copy of some of those. It done in, not in any maliceful way or anything like that.
Because a lot of people have been saying it's very similar to Taxi Driver and King of Comedy, and a lot of people have been using it as an attack on the film's quality and credibility in a lot of ways. And I'm like, I haven't seen those movies, so I can't say for certain it's like not.
Right.
But because I haven't seen those, I just went in there and enjoyed it for what it was. Just like, I liked it. It's not a fun. It's like The Dark Knight. Yeah, Nolan's The Dark Knight. It's not what you'd call a fun movie.
Oh, yeah. And I've rewatched The Dark Knight a few times. Like Goodfellas, I've seen a few times. I enjoy rewatching that one. I could totally see this being a movie I go in, and like I've heard from a few people, I really liked it. Probably not going to have to see it again for a few years, just because I haven't really heard anyone say that they came out and they were just so happy about life afterwards. You kind of come out, you're like, I mean, it was good, but God, there's some shit there's some shit there I gotta kind of process.
That's the good thing about it. It's one of those movies that I came away thinking about it and thought about it for a while. It affected me and made me sit there and think, because I saw it around like 12 in the day, and I was thinking about it until I pretty much went to bed that night going, okay, why, yeah.
Now, is that you thinking, or is that just what you sound like while you're masturbating? I'm not sure.
I mean, if you need to know, I didn't know you needed to know what I sounded like, but a bit of A, bit of B. Sometimes you've got to do what you got to do.
All right, just want to be clear on that.
Yeah. I'm. People keep asking. Oh, I've seen people say it needs a sequel, and I'm like, I don't know if it does. I think it might be better if it just stands alone as its own thing. Because my worry is like the Hollywood effect of they just kind of milk it, and the next one's not good, and it, just leave it as it is. But take the idea of the elements from it and make another movie, not the same movie, obviously, but the same artistic idea behind it, and then do it again for another comic book movie. That would be nice.
I feel like I've heard that both Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix have said they do, like, this is it. So I have a feeling if you're going to do a second one, you do it without either of them, and in that case, you probably shouldn't, because there's not a good chance you're gonna duplicate the success when the two most important pieces aren't there.
Yeah. Now, I don't know about the director, but I'm pretty sure Joaquin Phoenix is not like Michael Bay, because you remember Michael Bay. I'm never coming back for a Transformers movie. A truck pulls up. I don't think Joaquin Phoenix is that kind of actor who sees a truck of money and goes, yes. He seems to be more like an actor who does it for the thrill of being an actor and doing a role, like a proper role. Which I think has been his entire career. which
And
is
I don't think he
interesting.
wants to be defined by this either. So, and I'm
Oh,
pretty sure
definitely.
a second one would do that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this is a guy who literally just sat there and stared at David Letterman while he was on the Letterman show one night because it
Oh,
was
really?
what he wanted to do. And yeah, and then at the end, Letterman famously ended the interview with, "Well, Joaquin, it was a shame you couldn't be here tonight." So yeah, he's not afraid to walk his own path. So if he doesn't want to do a second one, yeah, you're not getting him back.
He's meant to be a weird dude, and it sounds like I hadn't heard about that Letterman thing, but I guess he is an interesting individual if that's how he approaches like doing a talk show.
Yep.
You know, it's interesting. Cool. What else have been up to? I watched another episode of Fate Grand Order, Absolute Demonic Fort Babylonia, episode 2. Really good. Oh, yes, this is... I was a bit unsure. I'm still a bit unsure how a non-player of the game would enjoy it, but again, it hit all the points I wanted it to. It did things which I wasn't sure it was going to do, and I was like, oh, I did it! Oh, yeah! And they got some nice fight sequences in there as well. Yeah, I'm happy. And they got the new character who I won't reveal who it actually is, Anna, and they gave her some nice moments where the guy gave her some biscuits and she was all blushing and all like, yeah. I'm like, yes, she gets a happy part in her life finally. Woo! And that won't make sense until you know who Anna actually is. And then you're like, oh, I know her history, and that's a very sad tale. Because, you know, a lot of these characters are based off of historic or fictional mythological characters. So if some of them are, say, from Greece, they don't have great lives.
Oh, right.
Or most mythologies, like Roman mythologies as well, don't usually end very well for a lot of people.
No, it usually ends very poorly for most people.
Yeah, so it's nice to see some of these characters have a little bit of a happiness, which I like. I've been watching Gundam Build Divers, which is last year's Gundam series, which is hey, buy the toys. So basically, it's like Build Fighters, which was a world where you build model kits and you can use them to fight each other.
Oh.
Kind of like think Yu-Gi-Oh. You know Yu-Gi-Oh? Card game.
I'm fairly familiar with it. Yeah.
Yeah, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, that kind of concept where you go and you fight. So build fighters was you did the same thing, but you built a model kit and you fought in a big tournament. Build Divers continues the idea behind it, but they have a online video game kind of version of it. So you put on a headset and you go into a virtual world. So they're kind of combining the isekai trope now with the Gundam build fighter idea. The problem is, at least I find it's a problem. I'm clearly looking far too far into it far too much. They go into the world and there's a hub world and there's people who are like registering you up for matches, and I'm there thinking these characters are drawn the same way as everybody else, so these NPC characters, or are they real people? Because if they're real people, are they being employed by the company to work inside the virtual world to be a kiosk mission giver? Or are they an NPC? And if they're an NPC, why wouldn't you draw them a little bit different to be like, these aren't real people? Don't worry about it. They're not real. There are shops as well. Are they controlled by real people? Do people work in the real world and then as a hobby go and work inside a virtual world? I'm thinking about this too much. I realize this. But it's little things like that annoy me because it's bad world building.
Apparently it is.
It's not good world building because it's just these, again, for a kid, they won't give a shit. But me, I'm just looking at it going, how does this work? This is the problem with doing an isekai, or an isekai-like thing where you go into a video game and there's this expansive world. Where the other Build Fighters there was, you're just in the real world, but there's also, instead of going to see a basketball game, you go and see people fight with their Gundam toys on a
Right.
on a computer screen, basically. That's the idea behind that. And the story is a basic bitch thing as well. There's nothing special about it. There's nothing fancy about it. Build Fighters was stupid to a fun thing. Like a random alien appears on Earth who looks like a human who just happens to get involved with the main character who goes, oh, I like this weird Gundam thing. Let's do that. And it's like, oh, okay. The main character's dad is a referee, and referees are effectively like secret agents in this world, as they have to go after Gundam Build Fighter gangsters because they break the rules of Gundam. You know? This is the weird shit in Gundam Build Fighters. But that weird fun shit that's over the top and stupid isn't continued over to Build Divers. So it doesn't make it as fun. And, like, what's happening with this world? Why is this world so weird and glorious? I love Build Fighters. I don't like Build Divers too much.
Well, considering how much Power Rangers my son has been watching lately, I'm very familiar with the idea of we do a thing just to sell the toy.
Yeah. Is he watching the new Power Rangers, like older Power Rangers?
He found Dino Charge on Netflix, so he's been. So basically, what was that? Q Ranger? That one was based off of. Kyoryuger. Okay.
Kyoryuger. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good Japanese Sentai series too. I don't know about the American one, but I know that the Japanese one. Ooh, chef's kiss. That's good.
I might while he watches the American, I might have to watch the Japanese then because the American is not the best.
No, you know. I mean it's still a Sentai series,
sure.
So it's still young, but there's more going on. Like the best Sentai series, in my opinion, is still Jetman, which is the show that takes place before, the one that would become Power Rangers.
Oh, okay, right.
There is a noodle monster in there, you know, a hot, like, you know, you get a pot of noodles and you pour water in there. It's one of those. There's also a sink monster who kills people. Like, he actually murders them by absorbing them into his sink.
That sounds great.
Yeah, Jetman is really good. Some of the costumes are a bit wobbly because it was done in, like, a long time ago. Probably in the 80s. Or maybe earlier. Yeah, probably sometime in the 80s. So some of the costumes are a bit wobbly. But man, it's got some fucking taste to it.
Wow.
Jetman's good.
Sounds like it. I'm half tempted to just put on a couple episodes of X-Aid and see how much he enjoys it when he can't understand a fucking word anyone's saying.
Oh, man. Have you watched X-Aid?
The first 11 episodes?
Oh, okay. So, yeah, you've got into the main story of it. You've seen Dan become crazy.
Yeah, so, and if it was something where I don't know, I might try and see what he thinks, because
he might be able to pick it up because he's young, and it's easy for young people to absorb new languages and whatnot.
Yeah, actually, that would be absolutely freaking amazing if I show him X-Aid and all of a sudden he can, like, learn Japanese way easier than anyone else's age. That would be amazing.
Oh, yeah. In terms of other things I've been up to, I finished Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, video game. Have you heard of that?
Oh, isn't that the Castlevania thing?
Yeah, it's done by the original producer of one of the Castlevanias. So I've finished all that now. That was fun. To get everything I wanted to do, there was a lot of grinding, you know, kill the same monster again and again till I get the right equipment from it to make the right weapons and stuff to complete the item book and everything like that. Good. It's done. It's finished. I really enjoyed it. It was a good time. Good game. It's worth grabbing if you like, you know, your Castlevanias and whatnot. I definitely recommend giving that a crack.
I remember you talking about it. I was looking to see if it was on. That's one I think I have on my wish list for a sale. So maybe.
Yeah. Definitely will be on Steam at some point for a sale. Definitely. Yeah. It's worth a grab. It's on the consoles as well. So if you want to play it on a console rather than on PC, it's there as well.
Right.
Have I done anything else? I'm quickly racketing through my brain to try and remember if I've done anything. I've been watching a lot of the old Best of the Worst episodes because I hadn't seen any of the older ones. So I've just gone back and started going through all of those. And man, there's some really bad movies that those poor guys put themselves through watching.
I feel like we're only like weeks away from doing our own podcast where we just talk about them watching Best of the Worst.
Because I don't know about you, but I find the most enjoyable thing is listening to Rich Evans laugh.
Well, yes.
He has an incredibly infectious laugh.
Oh my God, yes.
Makes me smile every time I hear it, but it does sound like he's being affected by Joker gas. And he's exactly seconds away from
what
death.
It sounds like.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
He's not far from death. That poor guy.
No, he's really not. And the abuse he takes, it's just wonderful.
They haven't shot him in a while, though. To be fair, it's been a while since they've gunned him down for a half in the bag.
Well, I think once they finally did a YouTube compilation of him getting shot, they were like,
Yeah.
okay, we'll take a break until we can build up some more. Yes, that's funny that I finally watched my first episode, and you're going back and watching old ones now.
Yeah.
Could definitely, if I'm bored someday, I could definitely see myself starting to do the same thing.
Oh yeah, it's worth a go. Though it is weird, like when I went back to watch the old Half in the Bag episodes to see what I think the fans dubbed unsexy, not Rich J, unsexy J. You know, before he like went on a diet and before he like went for the full goatee beard.
Oh yeah, he was a little schlubby at the time.
Yeah, and then suddenly it's just like, oh, sexy J, what's happened? Oh, okay, yeah.
And then Hasbro made an action figure out of him.
That's right. It wasn't a bad Captain America figure.
No, I remember seeing that one in this. I almost bought it because I was like, "That it seriously looks like Jay." That is.
It did.
Frightening.
Yeah, it was a bit freaky, like that's for sure. I think that might be it for everything that I've done this week that was worth talking about. Again, I'm looking at my list and can't see anything, so I think that'll be it. I mean, next week I'll have seen The Exorcist Part 3, whatever that subtitle's called. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully it's good and hopefully enjoy it. Oh, that's something. When I went to see Joker, I did also pick up tickets to see The Shining, because it's going to be re-released in the cinemas on the 25th or 26th or 23rd, something like that. I've got my tickets for that, so I'll be able to see one of my favorite horror films on the big screen for the very first time. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah,
that'll be nice.
And that also reminds me, good news for people in the UK and Ireland at least. Promare, the Trigger movie, is getting shown in cinemas here in November on, I think, the 26th. Go on to your there's an official website where you can go and check where Promare is being shown if you're in the UK. I'm definitely going. I told one of my friends, they didn't seem to have any interest. I was like, oh, fuck you then. I'm going on my own. I don't care. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I don't know if you've missed out, Jason, because you weren't sure last week. Did you check or did you not?
Yeah, there's actually, so they are doing it through Fathom as well as G-Kids. I did see that.
Okay.
When they did, because they did announce they were doing more showings, but they're not letting me see what theaters yet. They're waiting until you can purchase tickets. So as of right now, I'm still on the outside looking in. But once I can, and I'm probably going to be double checking a lot because I do want to see it in the theater if I can.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully they let me see where it's going to be soon, because until they do that.
Yeah, risky. Yeah, you don't want to buy tickets and it'd be like 3 hours away.
Yeah, I don't even think it'll let you purchase tickets yet. I'm assuming once tickets are available, they have to show you where it's going to be then. Who the hell would buy tickets if you didn't even know if you could see it?
That'd be great. It'd be a roll of the dice. Where are you going to see it? Who knows? You decide. Here's a question as well, because I don't know. For me, it's no option because I'm going to see it in subtitles. I don't know if the dub is out, but I wouldn't care. Would you see it in dub or sub? Are you a dubber or a subber? And in the cinema, would you want to see it dubbed or subbed?
Okay.
If you have the option, because I don't know.
You already know the answer to this, and you're just saying it so I can get ridiculed again. Right. For anime, I am a dub-er. So yeah, there's your scorn. However, I know that for at least from what everything I've seen, we only have the sub over here, and I would definitely go see it with the sub. I wouldn't have any problem holding out I wouldn't wait to see it as a dub. I would want to see it as soon as possible, so I would go sub.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was just going to be subs or not. I couldn't remember offhand.
Yeah, I mean, unless
You're probably right though.
I mean, they technically, so tickets go on sale on November 1st. I won't know till then, probably. So technically, they have time to bring people in to dub it, but I don't think the plan is to dub it. I think it is just supposed to be a dub, at least until it gets. I'm sure once it gets home video released, then it'll be.
Oh yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, thank you, Jason, for coming on and doing the podcast with me yet again, filling in for young Mikey. Where can people find you on the internet if you want them to?
Like I said last week, pretty much the only place I am at right now is Instagram, and I don't think since I did it, I don't think I've posted a single thing on Instagram. So yeah, I just still not on Twitter, even though last week's episode did spawn the hashtag Jason come back to Twitter.
Yes, there were a few people I saw. I was like, oh, look at these people trying to drag you back in.
I know they obviously hate me because they want me back on Twitter. And I have spoken to Mikey in the last week. He doesn't hate me
I'm
for
sorry.
taking his spot, not yet at least. We'll get
Okay.
there. But when he first saw the hashtag, he thought it was people saying that I should just be on the show and he shouldn't be.
Oh no, poor Mikey.
Don't worry, there was a smiley face after it, so apparently he didn't. But I was like, no, it's just people who hate me and want me back on Twitter. But now that I think about it, I should have been like, yeah, no one likes you. They just want me now.
Poor Mikey. So it's only Instagram people can find you then if they, expect you to post, which you probably shouldn't.
Someday, maybe I'll post a picture of something. I should literally just post a picture of myself right now and be like, here it is. But
you happy now? Leave me alone, internet.
Yeah, happy now, motherfuckers.
No.
Maybe I should. No, I'll just take a picture of Rich Evans and put that up because why not?
There you go. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but Jason S. Kirk on Instagram. Maybe I'll get back into it and post something, a picture of something someday for something. Where the hell do people find you, Andy?
You can find me on Twitter as CCTFW. You can find me on YouTube as Cobra Commander TFW. You can find this podcast on the Moonbase 2 forums. We're on Twitter, we're on iTunes, we're on Facebook, we're on Libsyn, we're on YouTube as Moonbase 2 Transformers Podcast. We're on Patreon as patreon.com/Moonbase2. And if you do $2 each week, you get the extended version of From the Files of Teletron 2, and you get it a week early. Last month's will be coming when Mikey comes back, gives me his other half of the show, and we record the last half of it, and then that'll go out for everybody. And then there'll be another comic show this month, I assume, as well. So
Woo-hoo.
There'll be loads of comic talk this month at the very least. There's also the Moonbase Woo Woo that you get where we talk about non-transformery things. It will be Halloween themed in some ways this month, but I don't know what to do Halloween wise. But whether it be a movie or a terrible TV show, there'll be something Halloween related, I'm sure, because 'tis the season. Have a theme, why not?
Sure.
And you can also head over to ccbunker.weebly.com to find the podcast links and all that kind of jazz if you want to go that way as well. Mikey isn't here to tell you where to send messages, but send them via Facebook and Twitter and other means that if you look back on 3 weeks ago, Mikey will tell you. So that's the easiest way.
Just bury him in the ground. He'll find him eventually. It's his job.
Bury questions in the ground.
Yeah, I mean, he digs up
stuff.
Right?
Fossilized questions.
I mean, it'll take a few years, but eventually he'll find them.
I really like the idea that people might carve into stone tablets questions for the Moonbase 2 podcast that Mikey just finds over time.
I really like this idea. Everyone, go out, buy a stone tablet and a chisel. And ask your best anime related questions.
Yeah, I mean, you have to probably try and fly over and bury them in Ireland in places that Mikey might go around digging. I don't know how often Mikey goes digging, but he looks like the kind to get his hands dirty often. So
I feel like that makes it too easy. Just bury him in your backyard. He'll eventually have to find them.
Yeah, Mikey's got to be proactive. Is that what he's saying?
Yes, exactly.
He's got to get out there and find the questions.
Yes, exactly. He's gonna hate me from here on out.
Oh, that's fine. That's okay.
Okay.
He hates me too, so join the club. So until next week, everybody, thank you very much for joining us and having a listen in to Transformers and obviously non-Transformers talk. And once more, thank you, Jason, for coming in and filling for Mikey these past 2 weeks.
It's been my pleasure, and Mikey, I kept your seat warm for you. Don't mind the stains and don't get a black light near it. Is my best advice.
Yay! We'll see you next week, everybody.